If you've been paying attention to the video games industry at any point in the last couple of decades, you may have noticed that there is a certain tendency. Let me be more specific because there are quite a few tendencies. I'm referring to the erosion of the boundary, the separation between what is the press, what is PR, and what is a publisher or developer. And I'm not coming at it from the angle of, oh, we know that the big sites, the big media companies, the big reviews, they're all bought and paid for. That's why even the worst AAA game always gets a 7 out of 10, even though it's horrible, and if by some chance a reviewer scores it lower, they're out. No. I'm referring specifically to the less insidious component of the mingling of the different aspects of the media. And that is that everybody knows everybody else. They all know each other. You really can't work in an industry like this, or in the field like this, without getting to know pretty much everybody in it and being known by everybody else. It's designed to work like that because you have to be in constant communication with the same people week after week, month after month, year after year. You see them at events, you see them when you take interviews, when you talk about their future projects and so on. You get to form friendships with these people. So that poses the question, will that color your interpretation of their content, of what they create? Will that color the way that you treat them compared to people that you may not know? And yes, it absolutely does. Good example. My friend from Peter Giant Games. I gave his game 2 shows because I know him. There are many other indie developers out there that I've never met, that I don't know, and I haven't given them 2 shows. I probably haven't given them even 1 show because I don't even know who they are, what they've made, and well, pretty much anything. So in that aspect, yeah, absolutely. You can claim to be as unbiased as possible, but the people that you know, they make you biased towards the people that you know. It's a bit of a similar situation to what I talked about in one of the review shows. I mean, the show's about reviews, not a review itself, where your experience, what you know, will change how you see games, how you interpret them, how you classify them, how you rate them even. It's not something that you do consciously, I would say. Yeah, we do it consciously, but you don't do it insidiously. It's not a bad thing as long as you keep in mind that maybe it wouldn't hurt to diversify yourself, to not limit yourself to just what you know and who you know. That is very important, because otherwise you get stuck in a bit of a bubble and, well, relating to who you know and if they're your friends or not. We've seen incidents in the gaming press in the last couple of years relating to that. This can have a dark side, a really dark side. The mailing lists of secret cabals that they don't invite me to, kind of dark sides. I'm in a sort of a secret cabal on Facebook though. It's not really a secret cabal, it's more of a here's what publications pay for what kind of articles and here's where to get in touch with them and good luck kind of thing. Though it does foster an understanding between different writers. It makes you kind of think that there is a community, that there's a kinship there, that it's not necessarily you competing against them in order to get the scoop on things. It's, well, I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's a collaborative process, but it's more towards that than competitiveness. And I'm not saying that just because you work in different places you can be friends. Yeah, that's absolutely something you can do. It's nothing illegal. It's not against the law. Jeez, that would be a nightmare. It would be like your boss telling you you're not allowed to use an iPhone just because you work at Facebook, and the CEO of Facebook is a one little bastard. I think I can skirt by the filters with that and make you change your phone. Then again, when you're one of the head honchos of a Linux organization that's all about driving Linux forward and you're using a MacBook, you're sort of sending the wrong message there. But again, this isn't what the show's about. It's about the connections that people form. And those connections will color your interpretation of events, of products. Mostly because, well, for one, when you get to know somebody, when you get to understand them, you You stop seeing them as simply a developer or simply as the media. You start to think about things more from their perspective and not from the perspective of the customer or the shareholder. And it doesn't really help that there's pretty much a revolving door in this system. You'll quite often see people who work in game journalism become PR people, and the opposite will often happen. PR people become game journalists because, hey, they write about games all the time, so why not make some extra money off it? Though it's usually the journalist becoming a PR person because at that point they already know everybody, they already have the skills to communicate with people, and hey, they got to know the publisher, they got to know probably the PR firm you're going to work with, or they can do it solo because, you know, they have good connections, and it sort of makes you wonder a bit about the integrity that they've had from the get-go. And then you'll also see instances where game journalists become developers, where they go to work for the studios whose products they used to review. It also brings really kind of uncomfortable associations, suspicions, ideas. You know, like somebody that, let's say, was in the government and really did their best to make sure that the oil industry now has free reign to do whatever it wants, going to work for that oil industry once they are out of office. It sends the wrong kind of messages to your brain. It makes you think, maybe they weren't being super duper honest. But okay, it's video games. It's not really that insidious. It's, oh god, is it not as insidious as what's going on with the constant back and forth between industries and governments. That leads to tragedies. That leads to horrors. What we have here in our field is, I'd almost call it child's play, honestly. And yet to a lot of people it matters because this is their refuge. This is where they go to not be stressed out by the rest of the world, and they would want this place to be immaculate, to be spotless, to be free of suspicion of collusion or other stuff. And that may not be the case, consciously or not. Everybody's gonna have a bias. It also probably doesn't help that the majority of gaming journalists and sites that post game reviews and stuff, they're not actually part of the traditional media. And I mean, they don't have any sort of pretense at having journalistic integrity because they're not journalists. Most of them are blogs, just blogs. They don't disclose things. They don't really, well, there was that incident and they all started disclosing things for some reason. And they start pretending that, nope, we don't know why. It's just, we decided out of the blue to do it because it's what we've always done. They're not held to the same standards as traditional media should be held to. But oh, let's face it, that thing's it's been on fire since people realized they could get news off the internet quicker, cheaper, faster. I said faster and quicker, which is probably not a good sign. But anyway, it's a bad place to be. And yet that symbiosis between PR and the media and developers, that is how things work. That is how this system thrives. That is how it develops, how it grows. I mean, if it weren't for developers giving me the chance, I probably wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. It was in 2008, I think, when Susanna from Paradox Interactive gave me my first review copy of a game. I was just some rando on Twitter that asked for a review copy, and she gave me a press account on Gamersgate that, well, I got a lot of games from that account and reviewed a lot of stuff thanks to it. That couldn't have been possible without Susanna, without Paradox. So I have a soft spot for Paradox. I will always take an interest in their games, even when they're other drivel like Empire. Okay, I know it's been years since Empire. I'm over it. I think everybody is. I think everybody involved in the development of the game can admit now that it was not good. And I feel the same way about Stardock. The only reason why I could do what I do since like 2011 is because my old graphics card, the 5950, I got it from one of their contests. Like, they shipped me a graphics card and put a spell that I made in the game. Sure, that wasn't me as a press journalist, fake news type person interacting with them in that capacity. You know, it was just me, some rando off the internet. But still, I have a bias towards their games because of that. I will always take an interest into what they make. Probably helps that they answer. Like, you ask them questions and they answer. Bigger companies won't. Bigger companies don't need to. Why would they? Heck, Bethesda gets a lot of flack, but Pete Hines, he answers emails from total rando idiots on the web like me. And that endears you to some people. Again, even though you know my feelings about Bethesda games as of recent, I will still always take an interest in their games. And I do that at the expense of something like Spiderweb Software's games, which I should have covered more. I should have given more attention to, because Jeff Vogel's a really nice guy. Talk to him on Twitter. But for the longest time, I didn't really give them attention. That's a problem. Well, a problem would also be limited time and doing daily content that's not about individual video games, more about stuff like this. But it still means that I can't really be objective in pretty much anything I do. I'm just going to focus on what I know, who I know, and not really cover things that could be out there that are worth covering, that are worth the attention of you people. Games that could potentially be monumental, and I still haven't really done much with them. I mean, I've only done like maybe 2 videos with Underrail, and they were both on different channels, the same language though. And that game was, at the time, it seemed like it could be the next Fallout. I haven't played it since it was released. I haven't played it since 2010. Same for Age of Decadence. When things fall off the radar because I'm not in touch with the developer anymore, I don't see them active on Twitter constantly to remind me that they're there, that does change what I do. And I don't know that there's a fix for that, because eventually you're gonna get closer to the people that you spend more time with. And that's something that you see in the gaming press constantly. Even in situations that you would kind of think are a bit on the nose, a bit maybe Blizzard shouldn't have announced Diablo Immortal on stage as the last thing at BlizzCon, you will get people defending them for the announcement, for the reveal of that game in that situation, and blaming, well, the people for being upset about it. And that's because the people that wrote that are a lot closer to the developers than they are to their audiences. Thankfully, I still know what my audience is, and that is dwindling because shows are boring like this one, and also a YouTube thing. But next year we hope to pick it up by doing less shows and more marketing, I guess. We'll see. But the point is, you're gonna see people that used to review video games now working in PR for them, or working directly for the companies that used to make the video games they used to review. It's a thing that happens. People sometimes get into reviewing games just so they could one day work for a game company. Sometimes you see people that did a horrible job reviewing games now working for Obsidian for some reason, and think to yourself, wow, probably, okay, I have no idea what to say. But it's important to remember that friendships will color your perception, and know that it's not always insidious, that it's not always intentional maybe. Some people just see what they do as helping out a friend, having their back, instead of doing their job. Though since most of these are blogs, their job is to get clicks and it's working. So also keep that in mind. Goodbye.